welcome to Rotted Reviews, and today I come to you with another individual movie review, but before I get into that, I would just like to give a special shout out to all my supporters, my subscribers, and my patrons out there. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you like my videos, please click subscribe if you haven't done so already. So the movie that I'm going to be taking a look at today is an odd one. It's available on Amazon Prime right now. It's the 2021 movie Girl Next. Directed by Larry Wade Carell and written by Zeph Daniel, this is a movie that focuses on a young girl by the name of Lorian. And Lorian finds herself in the unfortunate position of being abducted by Heinrich and his wife Misha so that they can mold her into a compliant Sophia doll for human sex trafficking purposes. Now at face value, on a 5-mile overview of what I just described here, that's a pretty simplistic plot. But this movie is the furthest thing from simple. This movie throws a whole lot at you and very little of it actually makes any real sense, I gotta be honest. This has a lot of really bizarre subplots to it, including incest, necrophilia, unseen overlords, odd power struggles, drug use. It just takes the entire gamut. And that's honestly one of the reasons that I just did not care for this movie at all, is just those strange decisions. Having a movie that's centered around a young girl that's been abducted and is trying to be molded for sex trafficking purposes, that seems like something that could really be expanded on in a way that is, well, heartbreaking and difficult. But instead of trying to tackle this difficult concept with a nuanced hand and try to hit the bullseye of the dartboard with surgical precision, timing, effort, practice, and methodology, it instead just grabs a big old claw full of mashed potatoes and hunks it at the board instead. This is everything that's all over the place and a huge mess as a result. And there were some very odd choices in terms of the budget as well. For the life of me, I don't understand why they spent so much money where they did and completely neglected other aspects of this film. This has some CGI elements to it in kind of a drug trippy kind of way. Then honestly, some of the equipment and the camera and so forth had a good look and feel to it. So obviously some money was spent, but at the same time, we have our characters wearing clearly off-the-rack cosplay outfits, $3 steampunk goggles from Amazon, things like that. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. I really wish this movie had done a lot more refocusing of things. Most notably, in all honesty, the writing. I really wish that this movie had undergone a lot of rewrites, a lot of peer review, and maybe it did. Maybe it did, and I just don't know. But however much it did, it needed more of it. It really needed somebody to raise their hand and say, wait a minute, hold the fuck up. This makes no sense. Why is this scene here? How does it move the plot forward? What is our character's motivation? What is the conflict? What is us overcoming the conflict? What are we trying to say here? Because as it is, it's all just static noise. It's a big mess. None of the characters actually had any kind of clear motivation to them in terms of survival, in terms of power struggles, anything along those lines. They just had weird dynamics with each other that never really played out very well. You had this odd drug element thrown in there, and instead of simply having them do drugs, instead it tries to go this weird sci-fi route and have this fluorescent blue liquid that they literally call, and I'm not shitting you here, aqua velva. I'm really genuinely wondering if this movie is going to wind up getting shut down because of complaints from the aftershave maker. And towards the acting end, everything felt very, very hammy. We had Heinrich, who played his role like an aristocratic game warden. Just all sorts of bizarre choices. And just when the movie seems disjointed and fractured enough that you really don't understand what's going on, why, when, so on and so forth, it just starts throwing shocking things at you. It starts throwing in the necrophilia scene, the incest thing. It has power shifts that are supposed to be twists, but honestly, you just don't care at that point. And honestly, some of those shock value things would have been considered shock value back in the 80s or 90s, but at this point, honestly just seems oddly exploitative and had no place within this movie. There was no reason to have some of the scenes they did. They did not move the plot forward. They did not drive any of the characters. They just seemed like they were in there for the shock value, and they were done so poorly that nothing about it was actually shocking. For something that clearly had a budget that went above micro budget and into something more along the lines of a well-funded independent film, I really wish this movie had made better choices with the money they had, hired a script doctor, figured out what they were going to say, and then have a more grounded reality approach, because the core concept of this movie had some promise to it, but everything else about it and the twists and turns and shocks that it tried to elicit made it completely fall apart. In the end, for all this stuff that was happening on screen, I found myself, more than anything else, bored. So for all of those reasons, I really have to say that I do not recommend the 2021 movie Girl Next. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.